Okay, so this is paper, GCSE paper, Shadow Set 1, higher tier, paper 2, Thursday 6th of June 2019. Okay, gonna do question 16 now. Straight line equations. Really common GCSE question. Something that you need to be pretty confident with towards the back end of a paper. Okay, so we've got straight line L has got the equation 3y equals 5x plus 8. The point A has the coordinates 3 minus 6. You need to find an equation of the straight line that is perpendicular to L and that passes through the point A. Okay, right, so we know there's the equation of line L. So line L, there's the equation 3y equals 5x plus 8. We need to find an equation that is perpendicular to this and that passes through that point there. Right, if a line is perpendicular, then it's all to do with the gradient. Okay, it's all to do with the gradient. So the first thing I'm going to do is find the gradient of this line. Okay, now if an equation of a straight line is in this form, y equals mx plus c, the coefficient of x, the number in front of x, is the gradient. This one, of course, is the y-intercept. Okay, so if I can rearrange this, rewrite this equation in this form, I will know what the gradient is straight away. So at the moment it says 3y equals 5x plus 8. I need it to just say y equals something. So I can do that by just dividing everything by 3. Okay, I can just divide this side by 3 and everything on this side by 3. And it will become y equals 5 over 3x plus 8 over 3. Now, I know this is a calculator paper, and I know I could have typed 5 divided by 3 and 8 divided by 3 in a calculator, but I'd have got decimals. Okay, if I just get my calculator, 5 divided by 3 comes up with a fraction, which is the best way to leave it. If I insist on pressing SD, I get 1.6 recurring, right? That is not going to help me with the gradient. Gradient should always be dealt with in fractions where possible, okay? So I'm going to leave it as a fraction. 5 divided by 3, 5 over 3. So I know the gradient of line L, so line L gradient is 5 over 3. It's 5 over 3. It's the coefficient of x, the number in front of x. So the gradient of line L is 5/3. Now, I can use this to find the gradient of the line that is perpendicular to L, okay? Because they are related. So the perpendicular gradient, so I'm just going to put, therefore, the perpendicular gradient is just going to be, you always just turn this fraction upside down. If you've got this gradient, turn it upside down, so it goes from 5 over 3 to 3 over 5, and change the sign, so it goes from being positive to minus, and that is my perpendicular gradient. Okay, you just simply flip the fraction upside down and change the sign. So I now know that the equation that I'm looking for will look like this: y equals minus 3/5 x plus c. Okay, I know this is the general form of a straight line equation, just like this is the general form of a straight line equation. I know this gradient, this perpendicular gradient, I've just worked it out, so I can put that in. All I've got to do is work out what that y-intercept is, okay? And I can do that by using the only other part of the question, only other bit of information I haven't used yet, and that's these coordinates. So I know this perpendicular line that we're finding has to go through those coordinates. It has to pass through 3 minus 6. That is when the x coordinate is 3, the y coordinate has to be minus 6. So all I need to do is substitute x for 3 replace this x with 3, and replace y with 6. Substitute y with minus 6, y with minus 6. So I'm just going to write them in. I'm just going to substitute into this equation, and I'll be left with one thing unknown, which I can then work out. And remember, it's a calculator paper. So y for minus 6. So minus 6 equals minus 3/5 times by x, which in this case is 3, minus 3/5 times by 3, plus c. Okay, remember it's a calculator paper. Minus 6 equals minus 3/5 times 3. If you want to use the calculator, minus 3/5 times 3, to be really confident and check it, it's minus 9/5. Okay, minus 9/5. Minus 9/5. So minus 3/5 times 3 is minus 9/5 plus c. And I've got a really straightforward equation. There's nothing to sort of trip you up here. This really is a straightforward equation. All I've got to do is work out what c is, so I can just add 9/5 to both sides. Add 9/5 to both sides, and that'll leave me with c. And again, I'll use the calculator just to be sure. I need to do minus 6 plus 9/5. So minus 6 plus 9/5 is equal to minus 21 over 5, or minus 4.2. Minus 21 over 5, or minus 4.2. Minus 4.2. So I've now got everything that I need to write down my final answer, right? I've got the gradient that I need, right? Straight line equation is in this form, y equals mx plus c. All you need is the gradient, the y-intercept. I've got the gradient, I've got the y-intercept, so therefore I've got my final answer. It's got to be y equals minus 3/5 x minus 4.2. There's my gradient, there's my y-intercept, there's my equation.